if you are brave enough to break out of the holding pattern and fly in the direction of what you truly want, I can dare say promise you that you will be gifted the tailwinds to carry you along. You will be taken care of. You will be given opportunities and open doors that will bring you to a place of joy.
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsey Simcik.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Welcome back to Almost 30 podcast. So happy you're here.
So happy.
I know there's a lot of choices in the podcast world, so you spending your time with us, it means so much.
Yeah. And I know we talk a lot about a lot of different things. So it means a lot that, you know, you are open and willing to learn right along with us. You know, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's liberating, sometimes it just really makes you think and go inward. So we're here for it all, and we're just grateful that you are too.
Yeah. There was something actually I wanted to talk about outside of that question.
Yeah.
Was we received like a comment, you know, we receive like hundreds, you know, of stuff every day. Most of it is amazing and positive and kind and thoughtful. And, you know, we will always reply to you no matter what. There was one that was, it said something like, it's a good podcast, but they oftentimes talk about how good they are at podcasting. So it was basically saying that we often talk about how good we are at podcasting. Yeah. And that was like the comment. And the only reason why I wanted to bring it up is because if you find something that you love to do and you spend 10,000 hours on that shit, and you're good at it, you need to talk about it.
Absolutely.
And I want more people and more women specifically to feel empowered to talk about shit that they're good at.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hear that shit. Like, I want to hear if you like have a passion and you love what you do and you are good at it, please tell me more. Like, there's such a shame that we have in our society around women feeling like, and this is coming from me from the Midwest, where like you literally do not talk about what you're good at. You don't talk about yourself in a positive way. You don't really like stand in your light because it scares people. And I think that it's really, really important that we kind of remove the shame of people talking about, it's not like me and Lindsey sit here and we talk about that, but we are good at podcasting because we've been doing this for 2.5 years and we work really fucking hard at it. And for 6 months we sucked at it until we figured it out.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like men have succeeded for so long in what they do because they are willing to tell people that they're good at it and sell themselves, you know, like, and I think for a long time, I just apologized for shining. And I know like you've experienced that too. And so many of you out there have apologized for shining, and for what? Because you don't want to hurt or put down someone else who might not shine as bright in the particular thing that you do or say. And I just think, you know, this needs to be happening more often. And, you know, we have our community around us who humble us and teach us every single day. We say it all the time. We're not experts. We're not gurus. But when it comes to podcasting, I truly feel that because we've been ourselves, because we've kind of brought you along for like the bumpiness of this ride, that we are good at it. You know, if we produced just a shiny product right out the get, I don't know if you would be as connected. So I think part of our success and what I like impart on anyone doing anything that they're passionate about, bring people along for maybe the times when it's not working perfectly. Tell them about it. Just like share. And, we appreciate those comments because then we're able to have conversations like this. So, we're not saying don't like comment bad things about us, but it brings up a really, really good point. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. And that was really just like the energy that I wanted to like put behind it is that, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I just don't want to see women cutting other women down for talking about things that they're proud of and for standing in something that makes them feel good or that is something they love. Like we spend so much time talking about Vanderpump Rules or talking about what diets we're on or what to eat or what we're doing as far as workouts or what's hard or what's challenging or what's bringing us down. But if we take the time to talk about something we love and something we're good at, people kind of take a side eye, which isn't right. And energetically, it doesn't serve the person on the receiving end. It doesn't serve the person delivering it. So I want this to be a permission for you to feel comfortable and confident and good about yourself, talking about what's really good.
Amen.
Yes, bitch.
Let's talk about how good we are podcast.
Yeah. So this podcast is actually about.
Oh man,
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I actually don't know because it's such a wild west, y'all. Like I don't even know. There's podcasts that are like millions and millions of downloads that are like it's just such a wild west. They're so different.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And like, what the fuck? Like, we've had issues all day today about shit, but we're not going to get on the. You guys want to join our call about like issues we've had today?
Let's talk about our taxes and how we're like struggling to like get organized. I mean, if you want to hear more about that stuff,
we can tell you.
Yeah, we'll tell you. We'll fill a whole episode. No, I appreciate because you know what, I can imagine, and I've been there before, where I've definitely, like when I was younger, I would just get a little uncomfortable when people were just owning what they do. And you know what it was? It was me wanting to own what I did. Period. The end.
Period.
So like whoever you are, and if you feel that way about this podcast, like we just want to say like, we love you, we hear you, and like go own what you do. Like you deserve it and the world needs it. And there's nothing to be afraid of.
Beautifully said. All right. Peace, love, and crabs. See you next week. That's from a Joe's Crab Shack shirt I have.
Oh, you had Joe's Crab Shack where you were too?
No, on vacations. Peace, love, and crabs. I say it like once a week.
I love it.
Peace, love, crabs.
That was like the most fucked up weird restaurant ever.
Joe's
created.
For sure. It was at the Bibs, right?
The Bibs.
It's just hilarious. I was like,
you sat on lobster
I love
traps.
Crabs. And like, I love butter. I don't love crab. You know what I mean? They give you this like silky butter and you're like, yeah, I love crab.
The butter.
It's the butter. You don't love crab. Crab is nasty and it's so much effort. It's like takes 4 hours. You're like, for this tiny piece of like meat.
I do love crab, but it's too much effort for a little thing. Do we have didn't we read something in
there was a question
community?
in the group.
Yeah, I'd love to.
There's a question in the group in the Almost 30 podcast Facebook group. So this is a community that we have that lives on Facebook. This is the larger community that oversees, lots of sub communities in cities where women connect. But within this, there are, 10,000 or so women that connect and ask questions of one another, ask for advice. And there was one question I wanted to kind of chat about with you. This one is about a best friend. So we were best friends in high school and college, but our friendship has dwindled in the past few years. We moved to different places and I felt like she became negative and judgmental towards me and others, making cruel jokes, talking about mutual friends behind their backs, etc. I now see she's going through a lot of pain, but it took a toll on me to stay invested. I was hoping we could grow apart gracefully and continue to be friendly and supportive, but not best friends. And for the most part, it's working well. The problem is my emotions are apparently not on board because whenever I see her Instagram updates and she texts me, I feel like I want to cringe, as if her happiness annoys me. Whenever I want to share something, I anticipate that she'll judge me in the way I've seen her judge others. I even have nightmares about her sometimes. I feel like I'm just projecting all these negative emotions on her and I hate it. I'd love some advice on how to get in the right space emotionally and mentally so I can move forward with or without her.
Yeah, first I would say, I mean, I definitely think it is a form of projection and we all do it. But I think there is like an energetic release that needs to happen. And because it just feels like quite literally like a tie to her that prevents you from being able to find compassion for her and maybe celebrate her happiness or just kind of distance yourself enough so that it doesn't affect you or make you mad. And none of this I'm saying is bad that you're doing. I've 1000% been there, but I do think there is like a cord that needs to be cut. And I my first instinct is just like forgiving yourself for any part of your relationship or even what's happening now. Forgiving yourself for that. You are doing your best in every moment and you can decide to, up level and cut that cord and move on right this very moment. Maybe it is about not following her anymore. Maybe it is about just not seeing her on social media for a little bit because that is a natural trigger. What do you think, sis? I'm like noodling.
Yeah, I think this is really hard. And I've had experience with this and, I've had sort of this situation show up in my life in various ways. So, I know how you feel and that energetic feeling, that is the worst. When you see someone's name pop up and you like, the feeling, you just have that terrible feeling of like, ugh, like it's unsettling and it's hard and it's frustrating. And I think in this situation, like Lindsey said, there needs to be an energetic release and there needs to be an allowing that and a permission given to yourself that it is okay that you are moving on and it is okay to not be in each other's lives and it is okay to mute her on Instagram or, remove her, from being seen. There's a conversation to be had to kind of express and share how you're feeling and, in a gentle and kind way and to kind of share some of your observations and your emotions. And I think especially as it relates to, talking bad about friends and talking bad about other people, I think that could be an opportunity or a gateway for you to respond to something like that when it happens or when it comes up and kind of nip it in the bud and, not put her in her place, but kind of, because I think at this stage in our life, talking like that isn't cute. It takes time and energy. And you know what? Like, I don't like who has time for that, So I think even starting the conversation with something like that, like, hey, I've noticed that you have talked bad about people like this. It's not really something that like I'm necessarily interested in. So, keep it moving. But I really do think it is the mental work that you're going to have to do to really like let this relationship go. And although it served you for 10 years, and I'm sure it was amazing and fun, it is a blessing that you have evolved from this person and you're moving on and you are moving on to, more fulfilling relationships that are aligned with you energetically now, and know that there are women all over the world that have gone through and are going through this. We do have when we find a connection with someone, it's hard to let that go, when they've been there through so much and you kind of yearn for the friendship that you had before, but it has a new place in your life and this person can just be someone that you have fun with. This person can be someone that you have very compartmentalized or, if it's too hard, you could also let it go, but you kind of need to maybe at first kind of detox from it.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say too, I'm thinking about you, reacting to what she puts on social media. One, and we've heard this 1,000 times, everyone's going to put their highlights. You don't necessarily know what she's feeling or going through. So maybe that is a reason to perhaps talk in person and just, It doesn't mean you need to be friends again, but maybe there is a little bit of energetic clearing and clarity that you could gain in, a half hour to an hour with her, that when you look at the social media, you would look at it differently and see a human rather than someone who's trying to show the world the best parts of themselves and get frustrated by it. Because I do that too with some accounts. I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like, this is not real. And then also too, like, just you are allowed to be that joyful too. And I know you might know that on the surface, but I've been working on that too, where I'm like, I can be that joyful. Like I think I grew up with some people around me that like just got stuck in the hard and the painful and the unhappy. And so sometimes it's hard for me to like get myself out of it. And I just look at what I'm not and what I don't have and what I don't feel right now. And then I just spiral. So be really gentle with yourself. Like, one, you can have that. Like, that is totally attainable. And, what you are feeling right now about your friend is such a wonderful lesson that you're going through, and you will realize that soon enough. But just remind yourself that you are deserving of that and can have that, if you choose.
Yeah. And it's like, I often think too, what if I kept and collected every friend I ever made in my life?
Yeah.
Freaking one. Allison Schick in second grade, Lindsey Buttrell. What if I was still I would have everyone would have lots of friends if they literally kept and didn't transition in and out of friendships in their life. And it wouldn't make sense, and you wouldn't be the person that you are today. So transitions are 99% of the time uncomfortable. This is normal. But releasing that, removing maybe on social media, doing a little detox, kind of putting them in their place when you find that they're doing things that, you're not really cool or comfortable with anymore, because this is the new you, and giving yourself permission to move on from this friendship, I think is, your best bet.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
So
Perspective.
Secret Facebook group is where these conversations are had. We also, talk like this whenever we're meeting you guys in person, which we are excited to do this year on tour, which we will be announcing in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Okay, on the podcast today.
Wow,
it's me.
A good one. It's me.
It's me. No, you guys were asking us to do more solo episodes. So recently, Krista had her solo episode all about her hormone journey, healing her hormones naturally, and hundreds of you have reached out and just felt not alone and so heard and like there is hope. So we just hope that our individual experiences will maybe just give you a little bit of motivation, a friend, to help you along the way. And I'll be honest, like every time we quote unquote have to do a solo episode, whenever we think like, oh, it's time, like it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of, I don't consider myself an expert, neither do you. So it's like, how do you talk about it? And it is just sharing openly and honestly. And so for this one, it was actually inspired by a session I had with Milliana. And Milliana Snow has been on the podcast. You can listen to her episodes. And we had just a really powerful session recently where I felt, and then she called out, I didn't verbalize it, but she called out how I was stuck in a holding pattern. So as if I was in an airplane circling the airport, and I just kept circling and circling, unable to land or unable to move forward towards, the next destination. And she like got pretty like, she like yelled at me. She's like, enough is enough. Like, get the fuck out of this pattern. Like, she was just forceful. I was still kind of in like a meditation, breathwork state. Me too.
It's so sexy.
She's like, wake the fuck up.
Yeah, she gets you all comfortable, and then she beats the shit out of you. Just kidding. Dude, you need that Tony Robbins vibes.
I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed. And it really, I just started bawling because it was, of course, true. It's so true. And then I started to think about like, and I know a lot of you will relate, where like there have just been times in my life where I'm just stuck in a holding pattern. So I I talk about, different holding patterns that I've been stuck in, whether in relationships, career, my own relationship with myself, with family, with friends, my health, and just what it's felt like. And then the specific ways in which I've been able to break out of it. And I also highlighted just the fact that like, as children, like really think of ourselves as kids, right? We would like go, say we're in like a play area and there's a bunch of different kids playing and maybe we know some of them, maybe we don't. We like go up to a toy and we like kind of try it out. And then we're like, oh, we don't like this. And then we drop it and then we move on. Or we like find a new friend and we're like jiving with them. We're like, yeah, like I want to be your friend. Like this is so fun. Like, mom, can we like play? You were so decisive about things that were really good for you or just didn't work for you. And there was no overthinking and you really listened to your body so much more. So I talk about just, not listening and now listening more to the signals from my body. And yeah, I just, hopefully it all makes sense, but I know that you'll be able to relate.
Yeah.
And I'm going through it in real time.
Incredible. I am pumped to listen to this.
Thanks.
Because I feel that. I feel that really hard.
Well, what I love about you is that you are transforming and you say what, every 2 years?
Yep. It's
cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And I think that's like,
who knows?
Sheds her skin.
Honestly, I shed my damn skin. Who knows? 2 years.
I know. Well, that's cool. I'm like, wow, I'm going to be here for the next iteration.
You are.
I was here for...
I'm going to turn into like...
I guess I was here for one.
You're here for one.
And now you are you now.
Yeah. I am me now. So wait,
I guess I guess you're about to turn into...
I think the first one you saw was quitting. So I think this is like a new me.
Yeah.
So we're starting a new phase.
Totally.
So good luck.
She grows a horn.
I do. Good luck. I'm trying to think of a joke and I can't think of anything. So might be, y'all. Fire me.
Fired.
Fire me. It can't be funny all the time. Fire me.
Sorry.
All right, let's talk about this episode. What is a holding pattern that you are potentially participating in your life? I think this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful concept and mirror for all of us of the community, for myself to kind of think about this. And I'm really thankful that, you are so open and authentic and thoughtful and willing to share so deeply. It doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you so much.
Thanks, sis.
We will be in the group talking about it. We love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of Almost 30 Nation. It means so much. 2019 is our year.
Rocket to the moon.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Horns on the head. See ya.
Getting late. Bye.
Hey friends, it's Linz, and it's just me. Another solo episode. I'm going to be honest with you. I think too much when it comes to my solo episodes. The prep and the approach leading up to the solo episode is some of the most painstaking resistance of my life. No, not of my life, but I think because we love you so much and do not take for granted your ears and your hearts out there. And I just want what I say to resonate with you. So what I'm committing to in this episode is just to be completely honest with you. Sometimes it might jump around. Sometimes it might feel a little bit wacky. But what we're talking about today can feel a little bit wacky. So maybe it will resonate for just that reason by itself. Today, I wanted to do a solo episode on breaking the holding pattern. And I'm going to add an S to that because there's so many that I've experienced in my life and that I'm experiencing now and that I know I will experience in the future. And they're just so funny. It's a double-edged sword because most of the time, a holding pattern is keeping us small and we're playing it safe. And it's really holding us back from our full potential. But then there are holding patterns that I think are super purposeful. And although it feels like there's no forward movement in where you are, there is a reason. And perhaps it's to slow down or to listen a little bit more or to just press pause on whatever's going on. So I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to talk about moments in my life, areas in my life that I've experienced holding patterns, what they feel like, what they look like, how they are or are not serving me, and the ways in which I have broken out of them. And this episode was really inspired by a session that I had with my dear friend Milliana Snow, who is an energy healer here in LA. And it was our most recent session, and it was probably the most powerful one I've had with her to date. We went pretty deep in the meditation, the imagining, and I felt myself in this really dense, thick gray cloud, and I was going in a circle. And I didn't tell her this, but I felt it. That's where I was. And I heard her basically scream. She had never screamed at me before. So I was like, stop yelling at me. No, I heard her scream. She's like, get the fuck out of the holding pattern, Lindsey. Break out of it. It is time. And she said it a little more forcefully. But I heard that. I heard it. It was so clear. It's as if when she said that, I could quite literally pinpoint the areas in my life where I was just playing it safe, playing it small, doing the same thing over and over because it felt like home and it felt manageable and it felt like what I had experienced before. And I got really emotional in that moment because I think my heart does not want to play it safe. My soul knows I can handle and can just live in a much fuller way. But my mind, and I think like my younger self just thinks, we're going to stay right here and chill there and experience that. So I came out of that session empowered. Yes, I felt that. I was also kind of like scared in a way, because I really could see everywhere where I was doing the same thing, where I was, implementing that pattern because I knew how it was going to go. So to break out of it felt fucking scary. And I didn't even know where to start. I honestly didn't even know where that came from. Like, why had I done that for so long in so many areas of my life? And I got to thinking that, when I was little, and little, I mean, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, I was so bold and I was brave and I didn't really give a fuck. As we do as kids, you don't really think too far ahead. You're living basically moment to moment. You don't have much more life experience to hold you back from what's in front of you. And I also just remember, for example, say you're at a play group with, I don't know, John, Jenna, and Shelly. And you're in a play group and there's freaking toys everywhere, vomited all over some ugly carpet at, Jenna's mom's house or my house. And I just remember like going from toy to toy, and I'd spend time with a toy I liked. And then if I got to a toy I didn't like, I would move on. Like there was no hesitation, no overthinking, no weighing whether like it was for me or not, or what people would think of me if I didn't play with that toy anymore. I was just like, okay, I'm done with it. Let's go. Moving on, like that's who we are as kids. And there was like this deep, quiet knowing that I don't really know, but I can assume that we are born with. We are born with that intuitive gut feeling, and once we're old enough to express it with words, even if it's just one word at a time, it is like this verbal reaction to a sensation in our bodies. By the way, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know if this is true, but this is what feels like the truth for me as a child, and take it or leave it. But, as a kid, I just knew something hurt me, I'd cry. Something intrigued me, I'd ask questions and I'd get closer. You know what I mean? I'd pick it up and lick it, whatever it was. Like, I went for it and I trusted the moment. And I'm just wondering when I stopped trusting myself, trusting my body, trusting that gut feeling. So we're going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about it today and kind of work through it. What I can assume is that, the moment someone told me, no, don't do that, or punished me for doing something that I felt was right or felt good to me, that I started to watch myself and judge what I was doing, or wonder whether I was going to be judged or get in trouble for doing something. So I quickly turned into a people pleaser, as I've discussed before on the show, recovering people pleaser. I just quickly turned into this child that wanted the praise and the gold star. Fucking loved those gold stars. Puke. And, that translated into really playing it safe. I was never the kid that would shout out an answer in class. I was never the kid, at recess, just yelling her little tushy off. You know what I mean? I kind of played it safe. Now, get me at home and I'm putting on plays with my imaginary friends. You know what I mean? I really was able to exercise that creativity in the comfort of my own home. My parents really created the space for that. But once I knew that teachers were watching, kids were watching, they had opinions because their parents had opinions on things. And, there's this crazy little microscope that starts to form all around you. And I just started doubting a lot of things that I would do, and I would look to others for the answers. So hopefully y'all are out there nodding a little bit. And listen, I don't look back and I'm like, ugh, it's such a terrible childhood. I'm just now aware. And if I'm lucky enough to have kids, maybe one day, I will give them the space to form their own opinions and to not project my own judgment about something onto them, because I do think it affects how they see themselves as well. All right, so I want to talk about some examples of holding patterns that I've experienced in my life, that I'm still experiencing in my life, and those that have served a purpose, that have that reason and season in my life. And then there are those that are just fucking excuses. There are those that just keep me comfy and not moving forward. And while my experience is my own and cannot be universal advice, I hope that you can see and feel yourself in these situations in some way. And one, not just know that you're not alone. And two, when we discuss the ways in which to break out of it, those apply to you too. So a big one for me in my life, mega holding pattern, has been within my career, and specifically with my side gigs. And I'm air quoting that because a lot of my side gigs were my full-time jobs, meaning they paid for all of my bills. They took up a ton of my time, but my heart was not in them as much as, my passions. So the first one was my stint as a bartender / server. And I have to say, before I say anything, that my time as a bartender and server were some of the most lesson dense years of my life. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about dealing with people. So I know for sure that time period was purposeful. However, I stayed in it for way longer than I should have. What tends to happen with side gigs is that the money is really good or good enough to keep you in it. And the thought of letting it go, the margin, is too wide to lose that amount of money. To let that job go is just too risky. And that's what I thought for a really long time. I didn't even give myself the chance to dream of what I could fill in its place to make more money, to inspire myself more creatively, to nourish my body more so that I am able to conduct the creativity in a way that I wanted to. So I was bartending for, over 4.5 years. I was working from 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. most nights. I was eating like shit after my shift. Find me, like literally catch me at the diner eating a grilled cheese with French fries at 5 a.m. And I was like, my metabolism's fine. It's 5 a.m. Like that, I'd be like drinking but I attached myself to that feeling of earning a fuck ton of cash, provided like I thought that was valuable, which, technically it was. But I didn't factor into the equation. So add fuck ton of cash minus self-respect, because I allowed for a lot of bad behavior from customers at the bar, minus sleep, which is like number one anti-aging secret, minus just like the hit that my health took from drinking while and after I was working, just running myself into the ground and on my feet for 8 hours at a time. I just thought I was invincible. I thought that, hustling harder was how I was going to get ahead. And that was just not the case. I lost myself a lot in that business. And from my Sacredness of Being Single episode, it's where I really lost myself. So what I realized was that I was addicted to the scarcity mindset. I was literally hovering and afraid to leave what I knew, what was stable, what was a sure thing. And I failed to acknowledge that my life then, now, in the future is so fucking abundant. And if you're willing to see it, it is there. If you're willing to believe in it, it is there. But the scarcity just kept me small. The scarcity put my blinders on to other opportunities and ways in which I could have earned money during that time and really saved a lot of energy and heartache at the diner eating freaking grilled cheese. Okay. And I would also say that I was so attached to the job title, even though I'd be like, oh God, I'm a bartender. Like literally no hate, because no hate at all. But I really attached myself to that role. Like I found some kind of weird power in it. And I was not able to relinquish that attachment to the title, to like kind of the status of like being behind the bar, controlling shit, like, flirting, like all that stuff. Like I could not let it go. And I attribute that to my age. I was, in my mid 20s, and it really filled me up in ways that I was hungry to feel more powerful. And so, yeah, I was in it for way too long. One of the best decisions I made in 2018 was to take one of the To Be Magnetic offerings from Lacy Phillips, a manifestation advisor. I did the partnership portal and it was incredible. I truly unblocked a lot of my limiting beliefs and unworthiness, and I was able, through various deep imaginings and writing and journal exercises, I was able to expand into alignment with what I'm really wanting to call in, not what my subconscious has been trained to believe. And it's changed my life. It's completely different than any other manifestation practice that I've ever been introduced to. It's not about the thinking positive and the visualizing and all of that. It's really a unique formula that Lacy Phillips has developed. It's a grounded manifestation process. It's rooted in psychology, neuroscience, and energetic insights. It's really incredible, and it's changed my life. Lacy wants to help people step into their worth, break free of their programming, and reach total subconscious freedom and magnetism. And I can tell you firsthand that I have been creating a magnetism in my life and experiencing it, and I'm blown away, and it's the work that I did. Like it's still kind of unreal to me, but it's my life and I'm so excited to share it with all of you. Krista and I have been doing the work, and we'd love for you to let us know your experience in these portals on the tobemagnetic.com website. You can find all the information there. You will get 10% off any workshop with the code ALMOST30. So that's ALMOST30 for 10% off any workshop at tobemagnetic.com. We love you, Lacy. If you don't know who Lacy Phillips is, please listen to our episode with Lacy. She is incredible. So that's tobemagnetic.com. You can use the code ALMOST30 for 10% off any workshop.
I am so excited that one of my favorite brands, Chosen Foods, has a new product that Justin has been using and loving, and me as well.
Has he been using the whole thing?
Yeah, he seriously used the whole thing. It's their avocado oil infused spray. So they have multiple flavors that you can use for things like pancakes. If you want something sweet, you can have an amazing Simply Cinnamon or warm gingerbread avocado-based oil spray. Or if you're cooking something like chicken or something that's a little bit more savory, you can use garlic or my favorite, chipotle.
I love using these sprays because when you're cooking with avocado oil, the smoke point is 500 degrees. So it's not releasing any toxins into your food or into the air, which I wasn't really aware of before this. And these flavors are so delicious. They really take the time to source natural organic ingredients to infuse their oils, and it shows. I love them so much.
Same.
So if you guys want to try these new infused avocado oil sprays or any of their dressings, things like that at Chosen Foods, which we love, you can go to chosenfoods.com/almost30 and use our code almost30 for 50% off your order of $10 or more.
Seriously.
So that's chosenfoods.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 for 50% off your order of $10 or more. This is one of the ways in which I was able to really kind of stir up this holding pattern. I cut back on my hours at the bar and I realized, I kind of looked at the equation. Okay, so I have more hours outside of the bar. How am I going to use that to my advantage? 1, get more sleep. Hello. 2, I was able to network a bit more. So I was able to see and catch up with friends. I was able to meet friends of friends who I'd been meaning to meet within the acting world, the modeling world, whatever it was. And what I quickly found out was that because I kind of started to close the door on the bartending, all these other doors started to open. I quickly met a girl in the fit modeling world. Fit modeling is like the non-glamorous side of fashion. It's like your quote unquote average size of a brand, and you go in and you fit the clothes for them. And I had met a girl who had been doing it for years, and I learned about what she was doing. I had no idea what the fuck that was. And she said, "Oh, you should do it." And I'm like, "Huh? Like, I'm not a model. Like, I don't know what." She's like, "No, it's not like that. It's kind of the technical side of fashion, yada, yada." I was like, okay. So she hooked me up with her agent. I mean, it took no effort at all for me to think, oh God, I got to get an agent for this stuff. Like, what? That overwhelms me. That keeps me small. That keeps me in the holding pattern. But all I had to do was make a bit more time to connect with another human being. And she set me up with her agent. Agent signs me. I'm out on castings for fit modeling gigs, and I book quite quickly. And that began to trump what sorry, I didn't mean to use that word. That began to exceed what I was making at the bar. So, I kind of woke up to the fact like, whoa, I'm not staying up till 4 a.m. and I'm making more money. Like, what is this? So gradually I was working at 3 bars at the beginning. I was down to 1 bar. I eventually let that go, and I was fit modeling full time. And Lord have mercy, the money was good. I'm gonna be honest. If anyone's ever done it out there, it's crazy. It's a little bit of the golden handcuffs, because your girl, I would stand there and they would tell me, "Hey, can you lose 3/4 of an inch from your thigh? And then could you gain like a 1/2 an inch to your waist?" And I'm like, wait, what? So from one fucked up industry to the next, I was really killing it. But it taught me so much about really valuing my body, knowing that one, what they were saying to me was actually crazy. And I couldn't just like lose parts of my body by choice. I'm not a goddamn robot. But by then I was a bit more self-aware that what I was in this industry, although it made me a lot of money, it wasn't something I was passionate about by any stretch of the imagination. But I knew it was a temporary experience, a temporary way to support myself in New York City, which is an extremely expensive city to live in. I started to get clear on where I wanted to go. And although that has evolved over time, the feeling in my heart, like in my body of where I wanted to go and the impact I wanted to make was starting to take seed. So staying in the fit modeling business, which I consider definitely a holding pattern that I perpetuated for maybe longer than my heart wanted to, it was definitely necessary in order to set me up for the next thing that came along, which was SoulCycle. And I'll cut it a little bit shorter than the actual long story, but before SoulCycle, when I made it into the program, it was a 10-week period of training, 5 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day. And the flexibility of the fit modeling and the fact that it was lucrative allowed me to be in the training program that intensely. So it all makes sense. So if you find yourself in a quote unquote side job right now, you're hustling, there is a purpose there. I promise you that. So if you're going to detach yourself from the role that you are playing, whether it is bartending or whether it is a fitness instructor, whatever it is, and by the way, both of these things can be full-time, passionate jobs. Like, I fucking love that. I'm just speaking from my experience. Detaching yourself from that title, from that role, relinquishing the power that it has over you to overwhelm you. Like, how long is this going to last? This is not who I really am. No, it's not who you really are. But this is kind of a costume, if you will, you need to try on in order to gain more confidence, learn how to work with people. I mean, the list goes on. There is always a purpose to it. So I just say, don't let it weigh you down. This is so temporary. And the awareness of the holding pattern is honestly half of it. Being aware that nothing is forever and this moment is a learning. Okay, people. Romantic relationships. Dramatic pause. Editors, please insert dramatic music. No, don't. But yeah, it's one of those holding patterns I'm still perpetuating. And I don't say that with sadness or anger. I just am. It's just a fact. You know what I mean? I'm recently in therapy, and I never thought I'd be the girl that was like, so yeah, in therapy, or like, yeah, my therapist. Never, but I am. I fucking am, because it's working. It is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Best investments I've ever made, because it is an investment. Therapy is not cheap unless you can get it covered by insurance, which I don't, but my therapist says work it. She's working it, and she's worth it. So what I've noticed about myself in relationship is that I have not been very good at being independent within relationship. And that truly is one of my greatest life lessons as it relates to love. Because, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, and I don't mean to say this as like a brag, because it actually does not serve me most of the time, but I'm such a giver. And so I'm very giving with my love and with things, buying things, like supporting them in a way that really does not serve me as well. And that, I don't really know where that comes from. I did it from a very young age in relationships, like from my boyfriend when I was a freshman in high school all the way to quite recently. And I think that it makes me feel good to do those things for them when there is this indescribable empty feeling around the relationship. And I don't know why. And I usually find things that aren't really there to explain why, but really it's about me not taking care of myself within relationship. It's about me not trusting that that person is going to appreciate, love me, support me, all the things just as much if I take care of myself first. I didn't trust that. And so what tends to happen is that things that really matter to me outside of a relationship, my career, my passions, my creativity, sometimes my friendships, they suffer when I'm in relationship. And that's been a pattern for me. And that sense of being that someone for someone was the way to bypass the real work within relationship. So the feeling I got from giving was a false sense of, oh, this relationship is great, when I didn't give them space to give back to me. I didn't make it about me. And again, not a brag, was not productive. Think about that other person wanting to give to me and I really didn't allow space for it. Or I just intimidated them enough with my own giving that they were like, well, I'm not going to give as good as she's going to give. So fuck it, And then the waters just got muddy and I'm like, wait, you're not giving to me either. Like, do I matter? And then it just spirals. So in more recent relationships, I've been conscious of this pattern. And hey, listen, it takes a few flights around the holding pattern many times over to actually see it. And it might take therapy in my case. But I've been able to recognize it and really feel into the feeling of wanting to be the nurturer and take care of them and do this for them and buy this for them and put myself second. And the awareness is such a huge part of the healing and of the reprogramming, and the ability to let myself expand continuously into the more balanced, positive, loving energy exchange between two people while still maintaining my independence has been, the most explosive realization I've ever experienced, that it is possible to have a partnership like that. So I'll just say again, it is this feeling of letting myself expand. So it's breaking out of that holding pattern and just continuously, kind of like waves coming in and out, the ebb and flow, just letting it fill you up and letting it pour out of you, letting it fill you up, letting it pour out of you into just this ever expanding cycle of love and giving and receiving and realization and lifting each other up and doing our own thing and watching each other from afar, letting the relationship just become so much more dynamic than I could ever dream of. Another holding pattern that was, I think I'm working on it, going on at the same time as this other one, is this pattern of using substance to assist in the connection with another human being. And this mainly shows up for me in, a romantic setting, on a date or whatnot, but it can definitely happen with new friendships as well. So I'm talking about drinking culture in the dating culture is so interesting and so ingrained, at least in our generation, that this is what you do. Hey, you want to go out? Yeah. All right, let's grab a drink on Thursday at 7:30. You know what I mean? What else would you do? Quite literally, I'm sure that would be the answer if you asked, a millennial in a major city, what else would you do for a date? And they'd be like, what do you mean? What else would we do? What are we going to grab tea and go bowling? No. So it's really interesting now being so aware of the numbing tactics and the false connection substances. That is a weird way to say that. I'm so sorry. The fucking drinking that I was using to lubricate a conversation, to enhance what maybe wasn't really there for me. And I clearly remember, so many dates where in the beginning, when we first met up, we're both, sober. It's 6 p.m. on a Thursday. And, you hug, you're like, hi, so nice to meet you. It's usually a blind date because it's from an app or something. And I just remember feeling oh, okay. I'm pretty, which is either good or really bad, where I just feel the energy and I'm it's a yes or it's a maybe or it's no. Usually it's yes or no. And so many times where it was erring towards no, we would have a few drinks and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, hottie, so into you. This could go somewhere. What's up? It's crazy. Chemically, I don't know what's going on. I can assume some crazy shit in my brain and a little looseness in my body, and I'm ready to take it to Pound Town. And when an hour before, I was not about it. Could have turned right around, gone home, and gotten into my jammies. So that was a really ingrained pattern in my dating habits, especially in New York City. Shout out to my New York City people. I'm sure you feel me. And there's no hate. However, alcohol is a depressant. It is of lower vibration. And so there was really no way for me to channel the situation properly. You know, all my receptors and communication towers were down. And so now I'm really committed to that really positive, really open channel when I'm meeting someone for the first time, at least their first few dates. And the way I've broken out of this pattern is to propose like, oh, let's do like a workout date, you know, still like seeing me like sweaty and probably not sexy, gotta say, but like in my element. But like your endorphins are high and it just kind of mixes things up. It'll probably make you laugh if you choose like a fun, weird workout or whatever. And then after you can grab, you know, a smoothie or a coffee or something, you know, taking alcohol out of the equation. And listen, I still drink, you know, it's something I do like to do every once in a while, but I just know that my assessment of any situation is completely compromised if I'm drinking alcohol. And I really don't want to compromise like when I choose someone to date. You know what I mean? To close the loop on this relationship conversation, I wanted to share the ways in which I broke out of the pattern of always being the giver, not establishing my independence within relationship. And it was pretty simple. And listen, full disclosure, I'm still working on it now. Again, it is quite literally in my birth chart as one of my life's greatest lessons is to be independent within relationship. But what has helped me is just getting quiet enough. So that means time to myself. That means, you know, not busying myself, filling my schedule, yada, yada, yada. Really finding that quiet time to ask myself some questions and get really fucking real about it. And I'll either just say them out loud, I'll meditate on them, or I will write them down. Whatever I'm pulled to do, I will do. And again, these like instinctual pulls. So like if I ask myself, what do you want to do? I want to write this down. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to overthink it. Like, I could just think about it. I can meditate on it. If my body, if my heart, my mind's or my heart and body are telling me they want to do something, I am going to do it. And I'm committed to that. Because for too long, as I mentioned before, I kind of shut off that communication between my body and my mind. So I asked myself some simple questions like, how do you feel? And I'm like, this is within relationship, you know, he's golfing or something and I'm by myself. It's like, no, he's not golfing. It's how do you feel? Like, how are you feeling? Really genuinely. And it's not like, oh, good. Yeah, everything's fine. If fine is in the answer, we got to dig in. You know, how do I really feel? Am I feeling a little empty? Am I feeling super fulfilled? And I'm just so full of joy where I am. You know, like whatever it is, I want to get as detailed as possible. And just because no one's going to read it or listen to it doesn't mean you should not give yourself those details. I want to really emphasize that. I want to emphasize how I'm feeling because if I'm practicing what I preach to myself, like how I feel does matter. And then the follow-up question is based on how I feel like, all right, like, so what do I want? You know, if it's something a little bit lower vibe or feeling a little lost or empty, it's like, okay, so what do I want? I'm getting super serious about my makeup products and the routine I have. because I'm not just slapping any old thing on my face anymore. I am 31. I care now. And I care about, what type of formula it is. I care that it's cruelty-free and innovative and really works. I'm not concerned necessarily with just buying a cheap product at a drugstore. Like, it is time. It is time to experience the performance and innovation of a cosmetic that I am proud to wear. And Hourglass is it. It's so, so good. It's beautifully packaged. It's cruelty-free. It's innovative. It's amazing. I am obsessed with Hourglass's Caution Extreme Lash Mascara. It's groundbreaking because it never smudges, and I've never experienced that before in my life. It is truly incredible, and I'm able to use the little brush to intensify the volume and lift in like very detailed way. This brush is crazy. It's so good. I can't say it enough. I just love this brand. All of their products are effective and really last. So if you'd like to try Hourglass and experience the unparalleled next generation performance, you can go to hourglasscosmetics.com/almost30 and use the promo code almost30 to get free shipping with your purchase of a full-size Caution mascara. So that's hourglasscosmetics.com/almost30, promo code almost30 to get free shipping with your purchase of a full-sized Caution mascara. Your teeth look so white.
Thanks. I can tell you how. They look so white.
What you been doing, girl?
My coconut toothpaste from Kopari.
It honestly works. I had someone message me the other day and be like, does that really work for whitening? 1000%. Mm-hmm. It's like oil pulling and crispy, fresh toothpaste. Natural.
And just taste amazing. It's just, Kopari never ceases to amaze me that they blow every product that they do out of the water. Yeah, they source their coconuts from the Philippines. You can trust them. It's ethically sourced. They go to where they source their stuff. Like, it matters to them. They are so passionate. Gigi was on the podcast, but like, even just when you meet her, you're like, I trust you. I trust this brand. Trust them with my lives. And everyone that works there really loves their job. They love what they do. They love the company. So you can like feel the love and see the love in all of their products. They take a long, long time to bring things to market. This toothpaste took a long time for testing so they could get it really, really perfect. And it is.
Yeah, it's so good. They also have the charcoal toothpaste as well. So the charcoal is kind of an added extra that captures toxins that might cause bad breath or teeth staining. I love that. I do that kind of every other day, and it's just delicious. So you can find the toothpaste, the new toothpaste, the oil pullers, and so much more at koparibeauty.com. You can use our code almost30 for 15% off your first order. So that's koparibeauty.com, KOPARI beauty.com. Use our code almost30 for 15% off. For me, the next part is just kind of like a reflection on like, have I been here before? Is this a pattern? Is this somewhere I've been stuck before? And it is kind of, it's an ego blow because most of the time the answer is, yeah, you've done this before. What the fuck? And so you got to get really honest about that. And there's zero shame in it. Hello, hi, we're all human. Nice to meet you. But oftentimes, like, this attachment to whatever it is, that feeling, it could be a belief that you hold super close to you, that's sacred to you. It could feel like you are ripping out a part of you if you break this habit. It could be that deep in your psyche, in your heart, in your programming. And then I ask myself, like, okay, so if I am feeling stuck and I recognize it and I'm aware of it, like, what is actually the worst thing that could happen if we broke out of this? What is the absolute worst thing if we broke out of the pattern, if we left the relationship? And I get very real about that. You know what I mean? Like, what is what will actually possibly happen. And just so long as like I'm still living by the end of the list, like I think I'm okay. You know what I mean? Usually I'm just trying to avoid the initial anxiety of breaking free of that pattern, of breaking free of that particular relationship that is no longer serving me. Like that is what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the brief anxiety that I will experience the moment I say, okay, I'm done. I'm moving on. I'm moving forward. Like that is enough to keep me where I am doing what I've done, always done. It's kind of crazy. Truly kind of crazy because I know that initial anxiety isn't going to last forever. It's almost a given, right? Like it's going to come up just like the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Like it's going to happen. So how can I better manage it? For me, it's just a practice of facing it head on. For me, it is a practice of putting things in perspective. Again, the question, what's the worst thing that can happen, really does help me to set the record straight in my mind. Because oftentimes that record is like front page news, you know, when it's really just like a blip in the radar of my life. Did you like those analogies? Truly, it's like not that big of a deal. And, you know, in terms of me breaking out of the pattern of, you know, not being able to be independent in relationship, I'm still thinking about it. You know, I think as human beings, we're kind of, in a way, programmed. We're born attached to our moms, quite literally. And then we're cut from our moms, quite literally. Cut the umbilical cord. But then we're like attached to our moms for however long, you know, breastfeeding or whatever, just being with her all the damn time. But then we're like told to go off and be independent and like, you know, shoved off to preschool, and I'm crying because the kid next to me is eating napkins and glue, you know, and then, then we come back home and we depend on our parents to like make us dinner. But then we're shoved off to college and we got to live on our own. And then in relationship, like it is so confusing. Is anyone following? Basically, it's deeply ingrained that like I'm unable to be independent within relationship. Or maybe that's the way I'd like to describe it. But it's really complicated. Individuation is really fucking complicated. So I'm instead just trying to treat it as this gorgeous, beautiful lesson that I must learn. And that will be such a fulfilling opportunity for my future partner and I to really dig in on, you know, to let someone in and be a part of what feels like one of my greatest lessons, you know, not wrapping it in shame and suffering alone, really bringing them into it, you know, in a loving, warm way so that they can see you work through. I think that's so beautiful to be able to witness someone work through what challenges them, for them to be aware enough to pause and to see it for what it really is, to be aware enough to pause and look at it differently. I'm looking forward to that now. You know, I think before I was like, oh God, like I'm not going to be able to be in a relationship ever. Like this is my scarlet letter, you know, my scarlet eye of can't be independent. But I'm excited. And I'm fucking pumped to create some boundaries with my partner. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about what kept me in these holding patterns And then just for the future, thinking about how I can establish certain practices and boundaries to keep me evolving and moving forward, if that is what's healthy for me. So, establishing the boundaries of which, I'm not prone to just depend on my partner for my happiness and fulfillment and all of this. Of course, they will be a part of it, but I don't want to be, dependent on them. I really want to be in a commitment, in a collaboration with them. I mean, how LA am I? But I really mean it. I really, really mean it. This co-commitment is so important to me, and I'll keep you posted because it's not happening right now, but I'll keep you posted because it's gonna. You better watch out. Okay. How we doing? All right. Last area of my life that I've really found myself in some deep, deep holding patterns is my creativity. I'll give it a moment for that to sink in because I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it is so painful at times. I got to be honest. Even just like preparing for this episode, I swear to God. The problem is like, you guys know our studio is in my house. So it's right here in front of me all the time. I stare at it. You know what I mean? Like I had the opportunity to record so many times. I scheduled to record this episode so many times. And most of those times I made insane excuses. I filled my schedule. I was like boiling potatoes. I was clipping my toenails. I was like knitting a scarf. I don't knit. Like it was comical. It was so comical how I was putting up these roadblocks myself in order to avoid this moment with you. Like, fuck that. How rude. But truly it's depriving myself of so many moments of like inspiration. And I know this episode isn't quite, the eloquent piece of audio that I would like it to be, but it's honest and it's present and I'm here with you. I'm nowhere else. This is for you all, which I was depriving myself of so many times over the last few weeks. So it's really just a lesson for me over and over and over. And perhaps I'm in the matrix and I'm caught in a holding pattern of holding patterns. I don't know. So when it comes to my creativity, there are a few things that keep me small. I hope you can relate. I focus on what I'm not good at or what I don't have yet. It's literally loop thoughts in a circle. Like, what I haven't achieved yet, what I should get better at. And listen, I'm not saying that I shouldn't nurture skills and get better at things because, hey, I'm all in for that. But what I was finding was that my focus was there. Like all my energy was on the things that were kind of like in the negative. And it didn't leave any energy for what I was like really good at. And it's funny, like why I chose to focus on those things, because I think like the people around me, whether it was on social media or in my immediate circle or what I was seeing in places, like they were really good at the things that I wasn't. And so it was just like this mirror of, you should work on those because they're doing it, instead of just standing in my own light and really owning my own talents and gifts. So what I've learned is, and it seemed, for me at first, it seemed extreme and a little like much, but I'm becoming obsessed and all in on what I'm good at. I'm obsessed, and I'm trying to produce more content based on what I am good at, because I just realized that focusing on what I'm not good at keeps me in the loop, which keeps me in the holding pattern, which keeps me small and keeps me comparing to other people. Like I'm going nowhere fast. So it's really freeing to be like, oh, I can celebrate what I'm really good at. I can celebrate that and I can do more of that. I don't have to always be in the scarcity mindset of, ugh, I should probably take that class. I should probably learn that skill. I should probably get a mentor for this. I should probably get a coach for that. Like, why not have a coach for something you're really, really good at? And they're just kind of your resource to up level, moving from a place of really good to unbelievably good. And so much of this is just giving myself permission to tune into the work that is mine. Like on this planet, in this lifetime, the work that is mine to do, and tune into, the fun that I am meant to experience, the people that I am connected with, that are brought into my life by what feels like happenstance, but it's not. Like, everything is so interconnected, and it's more about just owning it more. It is mine. And then from there, jumping off and expressing and sharing with the world in the boldest way I know how. And I feel like if more people did that and didn't worry about what others would think, we would all be better off for it. Another way that I have really shaken shit up and been able to move forward out of creative ruts is just moving, quite literally, moving my body and then shaking up the cells in my body by laughing. That's what I picture when I laugh. I'm like, every cell in my body is laughing. This is hilarious. But really, the creativity for me is able to flow with a much greater ease when I can laugh, when I can move. It's like it creates a clear channel. Again, sorry, mentioning channel, but it's true. It's a clear channel to allow downloads to come in, to allow the creativity to flow. And it just inspires me not to wait for a goddamn thing. You know what I mean? To be constantly in motion and movement and forward movement. I'm like, oh, I'm on my way. And so I don't get stuck in, well, maybe I should just, maybe it's not my time. And I'm just moving. It lessens the stress. My endorphins are high. I don't wait for the work to be done. You know what I mean? It's no way to live. So I really remind myself to play, to laugh, to move. It makes everything just a little less heavy, because life is fucking hard sometimes. There's stuff that happens, on the news that we catch or on social media or something really close to us. Life is heavy, you know what I mean? And so when it comes to your creativity, let that be the joy of your life. And it doesn't mean that you have to make it your career, but creativity is, at least for me, it's spiritual. It's a connector. It is a connector to other human beings. It's a connector to source, to God, to universe, whatever you believe. It is a connector to yourself, to your own soul. I mean, so many times I've just sat down to write and I'm like, who's writing right now? It's literally like someone else. It's, I don't know, an alien, my soul, source, who knows? But if I hadn't given myself the permission to sit down and do that, it would have never come through. So it is that permission, that play, that movement, that space helps me not to fight it so much. You can't really fight when you're playing, And lastly, what I'll say about creativity is that I've been very, very conscious of when I've said, well, I should have done that, or I was supposed to do that. And I've just tried to get very clear on where the fuck those thoughts came from. Was it me? Was it my parents? Was it my siblings? Was it my boss? Was it my coworker? Was it my best friend? Where are these oh, I should have done that, or I was supposed to do that, or yeah, could have done that. Like where does that come from? You know what I mean? And what it boils down to is that like what I am doing creatively, I want to make an impact, but first I do it for me. I'm not going to do it if it doesn't resonate with me, period, the end. So it's really about taking responsibility for myself, you know, and not blaming others for, and it's almost like a subconscious blame, because saying like we should have, why? We should have because so-and-so said we should, or we were supposed to do that. Why? Because the rules said, you know, like it's kind of putting the onus on others when like, hey, this is my life. And this creative force inside of me is mine. And it can only run through me. So really taking responsibility for that and not, you know, allowing those excuses to come through. I mean, excuses are fucking poison. So sorry for cursing so much this episode, but truly they're poison, you know, and they keep us in our own heads, truly keep us in our own heads. Quick real-time example of something that I am dealing with right now creatively. So I got a creative hit not too long ago for a series that I'm writing currently. And it was so strong that I knew I needed to take action in a way that I hadn't taken action before. And I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I opened myself up enough to the signs. I actually, quite literally, if you believe in it, great. If not, sorry. I asked my angels. I was like, I need the resources and the signs to show me that this is something that I can follow and that I can be supported to do. And very shortly after, my current writing coach reached out to me for something else. She's a friend of mine. And I got the hit. I was like, oh my God, she's a writing coach. Like, I mean, yes, like I love her so much. She makes me laugh. She's so talented. She does all these things. Like she would be a perfect person to go to when I'm feeling stuck, when I have a great idea, when I don't have a great idea, when I'm feeling shame around my creativity, when I'm not getting anything out on paper, to really help me find creativity in ways that I wouldn't normally, through exercises and prompts and things like that. It really got me out of my comfort zone and it helped me to be accountable. You know, not every week is perfect. And I'm sure she can attest to that, where I'm like, wrote 1 page, win. And I was really wanting to write 20 pages, but she's been so great in reminding me that, you know, anything is better than nothing, that creativity is a funny thing. It's going to come in waves. And just so long as you're doing your best to be an open channel for it, like that is the point. And this is happening all in the right timing. So her, in addition to my angels, have been just such a beautiful guiding spirit as I have really up-leveled my commitment to the creative downloads that I've been getting. So really grateful there. Now that I've said it to you all, you can hold me accountable, which feels good and scary. Okay. I have zero clue whether that was structured in a way that hit you. I hope some of it resonated. If some of it did, then this is a win. But at the same time, I needed to share this. This has been and continues to be a struggle for me. And I'm committed to just at least being aware and moving from there. So I would just say to you all, one, as always, you are not alone. And just trust that if you are brave enough, and it does take bravery, if you are brave enough to break out of the holding pattern and fly in the direction of what you truly want, I can tell you from experience, and I dare say promise you, that you will be gifted the tailwinds to carry you along. You will be taken care of. You will be given opportunities and open doors that will bring you to a place of joy and inspiration and connection. And I'm excited for you. And please lean into the community, Almost 30 Nation. Join the secret Facebook group. That group always fucking gets me fired up about what I'm doing personally in my life. So they can be your tailwinds sometimes, and, just leave room for the unexpected to give you that extra push as well. As always, I love you so much, and I really appreciate you listening. These solo episodes are really special to Krista and myself, and we will continue to bring them to you as often as we get these little downloads that we feel like we could share something with you that you can relate to. Thank you for your support, and I love connecting with you. So if you connect with this episode and want to reach out, message me, chat. I am on Instagram all the time and DMing with you all. You're my friends. Just as a reminder, don't know if you know, but you're my friends. I love you. Have a great day. Go move about, go laugh, go find some fun. You deserve it. Your joy is the gateway to all the things that you want to be in your life. And it could be like the total center of your day. The focus of your day is your joy. Just a reminder. I love you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thanks for having me.
That was beautiful. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Thanks, Milliana, for facilitating these great breakthroughs.
Well, that's what's kind of fun about meditation. That's what's fun about Reiki. That's what's really cool about any of these modalities that just help you to go a little bit deeper. Even if it's like a quick flash of something, a vision, a word, a whatever, you can go far with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's beautiful. Milana's my teacher as well.
Love.
Milliana Snow. You can connect with her, Wellness Official. She does healings remote. So I highly suggest.
Mm-hmm.
Review of the week.
Here we go.
Thank you, Nazi.
Cool.
5 stars, improved my life. 2018 was a year of self-discovery for me. Turning 30 and simply feeling lost, going through some major life changes, and I found the Almost 30 podcast, which has improved my life in so many ways. It is my therapy. I trust the girls and the amazing people they bring on. I've worked with some of the guests after the episodes, which also helped me tremendously. I'm in a much better place now and ready to make 2019 my bitch. I just said bitch, but she did the stars. I can't say it enough. This podcast is amazing. I look forward to every episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We really read those just as a way to say thank you for writing them. So thank you so much for tuning in, for sharing the podcast. You are the reason for its growth. You are the reason for my personal growth. You are the reason for Lindsey's personal growth. You are the reason for my life being the way it is. And I cannot thank you enough.
We love you.
We love you. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.